In this video, we're going to take a look at 3 different ways to convert from a fraction to a percent. So my favorite way is to see if you can rewrite the fraction so that it has a 100 in the denominator, right? Because percent means out of 100. If you can do that, your numerator is going to be the percent you're looking for. For example, to find 17 out of 20 as a percent, we can multiply both the numerator and denominator by 5 to get an equivalent fraction of 85 over 100, which equals 85%. So let's look at 2 examples down here. Convert each fraction to a percent. First one, 3/4. Well, we know we can get to 100 by multiplying 4 by 25. So we'll do the same thing to the numerator. And hopefully this is a percent you have memorized. 3/4 is 3/4. 3/4 equals 75 cents. So 3/4 as a percent is 75%. Let's go down. Let's look at this one here, 19/20. Well, 20 times 5 is 100, so let's multiply the top and bottom by 5. And 19 times 5 is 95. So 19/20 is 95%. So if you see that your denominator is a factor of 100, scale it up to 100, get an equivalent fraction, and your numerator will be your percent. If the denominator is not a factor of 100, or is actually greater than 100, you can start by simplifying your fraction. Then stack it up. So I call this back it up, stack it up. Let's look at an example. 39 over 75. Well, 75 is not a factor of 100. Can't go into 100. But we can simplify this fraction because these are both multiples of 3. So let's start by backing it up. Let's divide numerator and denominator by 3. And I'll write it down here. We get 13 over 25. So now we've backed it up to where the denominator is a factor of 100, and we can stack it up to get our percent. 25 times 4 is 100. 13 times 4 is 52. So 39 over 75 equals 52%. Final way we're going to look at is you can always find a percent from a fraction by using long division and converting the fraction to a decimal. So the 2 steps are divide the fraction to find its equivalent as a decimal. Put the numerator inside the garage and the denominator outside. Then convert the decimal to a percent by looking at the hundredths place and making that digit the ones place of your percent. So let's take a look at an example. 1/8 as a percent. Well, first we're going to do step 1, convert to a decimal. So we're going to put the 1 inside and the 8 outside, right? Because 1/8 means 1 divided by 8. 8 can't go into 1, so we add a 0.0 here. And as soon as you do that, add the decimal point up here above the garage. 8 goes into 10 once. As long as you have a remainder, keep adding zeros. 8 goes into 20 twice. Bring down one more 0. And 8 goes into 40 exactly 5 times. So as a decimal, 1/8 is 125 thousandths. And as a percent, remember percent means out of 100. So we're going to look at the hundredths place. That's a 2, and that's going to be the ones place of our percent. So 12.5%. Sometimes you're going to want to use a calculator. So here we have a table that shows the best 10 free throw shooters in combined WNBA and NBA history. And it asks us to use a calculator to fill out the table below. So let's look at Steph Curry. He's made 2,560 free throws out of 2,827 attempted. 2,560 over 2,827. So you can divide that, and it's going to give us a decimal. 0.90, so around 90%, a little above 90% of his free throws. But let's look at the question. It says round to the nearest 10,000th. So tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths. We look at the digit to the right. It's a 5. That tells us to round the 10,000ths place up. So we're going to get 0.9056. 0.9056. And again, as a percent, look at the hundredths place. That's going to be the ones digit of your percent. So 90.56%. One trick you'll notice, or pattern you'll notice, is that when you're going from a decimal to percent, the decimal point moves over 2 places. So 0.9056 becomes 90.56%. 0.9384 becomes 93.84%. So those are 3 different ways you can find percents from fractions. Stack it up to a denominator of 100, back it up, then stack it up to a denominator of 100, or use long division to get a decimal and then convert that decimal to a percentage.